Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Edit with Me. I am so glad you're here. My name is Kelly. I'm going to be your editor today, and we are going to be talking about black and white conversions today. How to make them technically perfect, and all the different options you have when editing in this style. We're going to be taking this beautiful image of this tiny preemie baby from color to black and white. Raw to ready. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and grab a hot beverage, kick up your feet, and let's start the show. Again, I'm so glad you're here. Let's go. Alrighty, let's get started. We are going to be working today on black and white, what they are, what they can add to your repertoire. We are going to dive into all those important things today. But before I do that, I wanted to share a quote with you, and it's by Ted Grant. He's a national photographer and a Canadian treasure. And what he says is, when you photograph people in color, you photograph their clothes. But when you photograph people in black and white, you photograph their souls. Oh, I just love that. That gets to the crux of why we do what we do, right? We are wanting to photograph people's souls. That's what makes black and white so incredibly powerful, y'all, because you have the ability to create an entire mood around your image. Now, that doesn't mean that every single image deserves to be in black and white. And later, we're going to discuss what I mean by that. But when you're a newbie, and that's the beautiful thing about this channel, is we have newbies, subscribers. We have subscribers who have been editing for 10 years, 20 years, and we all come together on this channel. But that's the thing when you're a newbie. When you make a technical mistake like terrible white balance or something like that, there is a very real instinct or tendency to convert it to black and white and then deliver it to your client and be like, oh, it's beautiful. No, black and whites are actually so tricky to get and to have them work effectively. And I'm going to teach you how to do that today. So you can take, instead of just, oh, I made a mistake. Okay, let's save it with black and white, to no, I intentionally did that in my story. That's the image I want to draw attention to. A black and white is a bunch of different things. They are known as monochrome, grayscale, black and white. I think that's it. If you have another one, drop it in the comments below. But they are meant to tell a story, to bring attention to the detail of the image and not the distraction of the color tone. Today, we're going to be editing a couple different ways for black and whites. I'm going to show you my standard, but then I'm also going to show you some options. As many photographers as there are out there, dear friend, there are that many black and white conversions because they speak so differently to every single creator that makes them. So I'm going to just show you my way of doing it today. Again, if you don't do it this way, totally fine. That's the beauty of this, where I'm not teaching you to edit. We're editing together. Okay. So in this image, this was a tiny preemie. His name was Luke, and he had the most delicious little newborn hairs on his shoulders, acne, rough skin. And I love the newness of those babies. I don't Photoshop the skin to be perfect. I like to draw attention to those teeny tiny details, the little hair on their ears, all of that stuff. So I knew that this image would make a great black and white. It's wonderful in color too, but I just love the way that the window light is haloing. Now there is a way to do this. If you hover over this button here in CC, it's a little different in Lightroom, but it's still up in the top right. You have an option of converting to black and white. Right here. Now, I'm going to press that just so you can see what the computer thinks our black and white should look like. That is not it, friends. That makes it technically grayscale, but we want to add our own touches to make this image really jump off the screen, off the canvas, off the print for our clients. Okay. So I'm going to go through all the different things that I like to pay attention to when I'm creating a black and white. Now, this is the focus of my image right here. I want to draw attention to the hairs, to his acne, to all those scrumptious baby details. So I'm going to be working in a couple different things that you don't normally mess with when you're editing for color, right? Because we want to make that the focus. So while I'm working, I'm going to highlight these tiny hairs. I'm going to really pay homage to his skin texture here. And if you see that rough skin on his elbow, I want to be able to see that. This is the finished image that we're going to be getting to today. And this is where we're starting. So to get to there, you notice that I have, it's brighter. It pops off the screen. This one is a lot more dull. It doesn't have quite so much contrast. Sorry, I'm just toggling between the two so you can see. But we are going to take this and get started. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, I am going to come into my panel, and I'm actually going to start at the top this time. We're going to go to contrast. And contrast is tricky when you're working with color images, right? Because when you add in contrast, you also have to balance out saturation and blacks and shadows. But in black and whites, contrast really is where you're going to get a lot of oomph before and after. You can see already those details are popping off, and you can see his little baby dandruff, and you can see some of the contrast in this shoulder here. I'm also going to pull down my highlights, but push up my whites. And what that does is it really makes the image pop. It highlights that window lighting, that beautiful window lighting that's coming in on his skin. I'm going to pull it down just so you can see the difference it makes. Okay, look at that, popping so much. I'm going to do the same thing with my blacks. I'm going to pull my blacks down because I want that part of the story kind of to be hidden. This part of the story is what I really want to highlight. Okay, so I'm going to pull down the blacks there too. We are going to, well, sorry, maybe I want a little bit more. There's before and after, so you can see where we are already. Not quite where we want to get to yet, though. All right, so now we are going to talk a little bit about point curve. Sorry about that. We're going to talk a little bit about this point curve. You can see this is a way of adjusting your images. You might have heard people refer to it as the S curve or the point curve. And basically, it is a line in your histogram options. You can segment it and mess with a specific part of your image separately. There's an option in CC that you can also click that shows you can just go right to the midtones and stuff. But we're going to just work on the standard one. There are super easy ways to work with this. You just click along this line and it creates a point. And you can pull that down. See here, you can see I'm working in the shadows. If I push it up, it really gets rid of the shadows. If I were to, let's see, I think, yeah, that works. If I were to come up here, this is working with my highlights. See how that yucky, muddy gray I get when I push it down, or the overexposure when we push it up. A lot of professionals will create just an S curve in their images. It looks like this. And the reason it's called that is it kind of resembles a little S. I don't necessarily love that for this particular image. So I'm going to kind of mess with it until I get it to where I want it to be. I want the highlights and the shadows to be a little bit less harsh. So it's going to be a very gentle slope here. Also, you can kind of move that up to get a little bit of matte. And that is it for the point curve. All right, we are going to minimize the color shadows. And we are going to just keep going here. So I love to work on detail. I am going to push up texture to bring attention to all that beautiful skin. And I'm going to pull down clarity because I do not like my images crispy. All right, I'm also going to work on my dehaze a little bit so that it gets rid of a little bit of that haziness. And I'm going to actually add in some... oh gosh, Kelly, some grain. Sorry about that. If you go way above, it makes it super like photojournalistic and arty. See that? But I like to just add a little bit in there. And I'm going to increase my sharpening and my noise reduction as well to get the skin nice and creamy. See that difference right there? It makes everything a little bit smoother. I'm also going to remove my chromatic aberration, which I've talked about that a lot on this channel. That is my number one step that I do. It gets rid of the bleed through between two colors. So here's the finished image, and here's the one where we are at right now. Now you notice the shadow here and in the back is really, really pronounced. I want to be able to tell a little bit more of the story by seeing Daddy's hand there. So I'm actually going to come up into our panel, and I'm going to push up my shadows quite a bit so that a little bit more of Daddy's hand comes up, and I'm going to push up the blacks to make it a little bit less intense. Okay, that way you can see Daddy's hand holding his little back here. I'm also going to pull down the contrast too, just slightly. Okay, this is looking so good. Let's increase that texture a little bit more. And that's the thing about black and whites, right? Every image is going to be different. There is not going to be one formula for your black and whites. A black and white that's shot by window light is going to be way more dramatic than one that's shot in open shade. It's going to be way more dramatic on newborn skin with all of its delicious texture than it is on, you know, a 30-year-old model or something like that. Okay, let's bring attention to this focal image a little bit. I want to increase the texture and the sharpness a little tiny bit more, and that looks really good. All right, that's almost done and dusted. I want to talk to you, though, about different options for black and whites. You do not need to edit your black and whites to look like mine. Point of fact, I have a ton of presets that I have just collected over the years, and I have trended away from them quite a bit. But I have my own black and white presets that I kind of start with as a base, and then I tweak it. One of my favorite ones is from The Beautiful Ordinary. That's by Michelle McKay. Oh, her artwork is gorgeous. Look at that. It lends such an organic, crispy, delicious quality to my photo, but you can actually see here, I tweak it myself because I don't love the super duper clarity crispiness of her original, so I tweak it for myself. So I kind of go to that one. I love that one. I use that in a lot of my in-home newborn work if I want to save myself some time. Don't be afraid. If you love a preset, make your tweaks to it and then save it as your own preset. That is going to really cut down time in your workflow. So don't be afraid to do that. The other black and white that I love, love, love is from the Luminous collection. And it is called Memories. I feel like it's so classic and so dramatic. So I also like that one, but I'm going to give you a little lesson in black and whites up here. I have a ton of presets saved. Whenever I get a new collection, I will pull the black and whites out and save them in my black and white folder to make my life a little more easy. Now, as many photographers as there are in the world, sweet friend, there are that many different types of black and whites, right? I said that earlier. And I'm going to go through all the different kind of options that at least I have saved on my computer for what people thought wonderful black and whites would be. Okay. There are so many different ways you can go and so many styles that you can be successful with. This first one I'm going to show you is small. Lots of people use it. It is, it's kind of one of the lifestyle standards. A lot of people like to use it. I'm going to kind of just scroll down here so you can see all the different interpretations of grayscale and black and white that there are. And this is just a tiny snippet on my Lightroom, right? On the things that I've spent my cash on. So you can kind of see as I go, some of them are super dramatic. Some of them are super muted. Some of them have a lot of contrast. Some of them have no contrast. Some of them are really crispy or have a colorized thing to them. Some of them are really vibrant. Some of them are even matte, okay? Don't get overwhelmed. Your job is to find things that work for you. And if nothing works for you, do your own. Okay, that's the whole point of this channel, right? We want to build our confidence so that you can be a from scratch photographer and not have to worry about being stuck in someone else's interpretation of your work. Ooh, that one's beautiful. Oh my gosh, that's so funky, but I love the softness. It almost reminds me of like one of those old school film cameras. And as I'm going down here, you're going to see just a couple more examples. Depending on the mood you want to go for, these may be great starting points for you. Okay. It's so funny how much our editing changes over time, because 3 or 4 years ago, I would have just slapped on one of these monochromatic presets and just kind of gone my own way. But now I know exactly what I'm looking for. And I want that for you too, my friend. I want you to have the confidence to be like, nope, none of these work. I'm doing this myself. Okay. All right. So there's some examples. That one's actually really beautiful. That kind of has a bit of sepia, doesn't it? Oh, I like that look. Totally not my style, but man, if I was going for something fun and new, I would definitely use that and tweak it, I think. Oh, so cute. All right. So here is the finished edit from me. I would deliver that to my clients. I am perfectly happy with that. I love the way that his hair stands out and all of those things. I hope today you got an idea of all the different options you have as a photographer and as an artist. You can change things to your like as much as you want. Now, one thing I will tell you before we sign off, use your black and whites to tell the story. Do not just rely on them for filler. Use them in moments of intense focus or beautiful connection to really increase your story in your gallery. Okay, I am very, very picky about what black and whites I deliver. I want them to mean something. And I'll show you an example on here of a session that I shot. This moment back here, I pulled into our folder. Look at that black and white. I love it. It was beautiful in color, friends, but when you take away the distraction of the color tone, all of a sudden the textures and the beautiful details start to sing in this image. You can see the texture in the baby's onesie here. You can see all the different lines and the strength in daddy's hands. You can see his highlight of his hair, the shadows right here. You can see mama's beautiful white smile. You can see the light in the trees even better. So that's what I am looking for in a good black and white. I'm looking for those details that when you remove the color, all of a sudden that jumps off of the image. And that helps draw that attention to the baby, right? If you saw that in color, you'd be distracted by the beautiful mustards and rusts and greens I was using. But in black and white, it tells the story of the family, not the story of what they're wearing. So I want you to kind of shift your thought process on black and whites there. A lot of photographers edit their entire gallery in color and then provide their entire gallery in black and white to their clients. Please stop doing that. If they want a specific image in black and white, have them, you can edit it. But you are the creator of this art, friends. You decide what looks good in black and white. You decide what you want to deliver in color. Don't let your clients dictate how you run your business. Here's another example I wanted to show you of the difference between color and black and white. Oh, look at this little squishy puppy. I love this picture. But when I convert it to black and white, all of a sudden you see things that you didn't see in the color. You see the light coming through the window. You see his teeny tiny toes. You see his rumpled up expression even better than you would in the normal color image, right? Look, that you just see beautiful tones of peach and aqua. But when you take those away, all of a sudden you see the baby's expression, and that is what you're drawn to. That's why we use black and whites, friends, okay? I hope you have enjoyed this class. I know that it was a lot more instructional than a lot of our videos usually are, but black and white is kind of one of those things that I am a big nerd about. And when people do it poorly, I want to go, no, there's an easier way. There's an easier way. So I hope that you have enjoyed this kind of chatty time with me. As always, my friends, I want to encourage you and help you remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you are so, so valuable, and the world needs your lens. I've had a wonderful time with you. If you enjoyed this video, share it. I want you to spend some time playing with your black and whites today. Have a great day. See you next time. Bye.